So in this episode, I am going to start to clean and lube up the 920. I think I'm going to call this bike the Black Knight. How's that sound? We're going to clean up the Black Knight, try to get all the dirt and sediment and everything out of the dry side, the wet side, lube it up, maybe even try to source some covers and pop them on so we can get to the next step. So let's go. Okay, so as you can see, a lot of sediment and whatnot in there on the wet side. Remember, we're missing gears and everything too. So right now what I just want to do, there's just, let me show you. I just put my hand in here and look, there's just all this crap and crud in there. So how are we going to get it out? Well, I'm just going to use some air. I'm going to use some air to start out with. After the air, I'm going to lube everything up with PB Blaster. I know some of you guys are probably cringing and saying, oh no, why don't you use motor oil? This is going to do more harm than good. Fellas, ladies, look at this. Side covers have been off for God knows how long. I don't think I can mess it up any more than what it is already. I will be taking out the spark plugs as well at some point, and maybe spraying some PB Blaster down them before I get some Marvel mystery oil. I'm not even checking to see if the motor's locked up yet. Right now, all I want to do is clean it, because I think if I clean it and if I lube it, and if I can get some side covers on and get some oil in it, or at least get the side covers on, a little bit of lubrication in it, it'll be far more likely to want to free itself up if it is locked. So some of this may get a little bit loud, so if you're wearing headphones, warning, they can get loud. So we're just going to go ahead and spray down this side, try to get everything out of it, and then we are going to use our PB Blaster. So let's just dig right into it, okay? Just peeling this gasket off because I'm not going to use it for right now. Through the rebuild process, I'll probably just use good old Permatex or RTV until I get everything good to go, and then I can always pop off the covers and put proper gaskets on them. I think I'm going to get me a rag too. Let me get a rag. Okay, so now I have a rag. So now I'm just going to try to wipe down some of these components a little bit better. Try to get any of the standing dust, debris, dirt off of them. Someone really went crazy with the orange Permatex. You don't really need that much Permatex when you're trying to seal something. So just trying to clean this all out. The less sediment that is in it, the better. Of course, it'll probably have to go through a couple of oil changes, of course, in order to get everything out of here. Magnet's still in here, that's good. Let's check this magnet. So right here, I kind of slid it out a little bit. Right below the whole starter gear assembly, there's a little magnet right here. You can pull this magnet out, and this magnet will let you know some things. One of which, and the most important, is how much metal has went through this motor and found its way to the bottom of the case. In this instance, not too bad. Not too bad at all. So I always like cleaning these off so that clean these off so that we have a lot of times too you can pop the circle ones. So see, this is just like a case that it sits in. This is the neodymium magnet. I like to clean these off because then as we're running new oil through it, and remember what I said is I'll probably run just Permatex through it until I get everything dialed in and running. If this motor isn't in that bad of shape, then I can revisit this magnet if I clean it, and it'll tell me the story of since then, what is it doing? Is it grinding any more? Is it grinding any more oil down or metal parts, shavings down, or what? You don't have to get it 100% clean, but for example, that's a lot cleaner than what it was. It kind of goes into this sheath right here, like that. Kind of pinches shut. Then this will go back into that little orifice, just like that. And try it the other way. Sometimes it'll fit in better one way than the other. Nope, that'll work. Okay, so let's continue with the wiping, okay? And why don't I get you in a little bit closer just so you can see what I'm doing. So basically what I'm doing, even though I'm off camera, is I'm just trying to wipe off as much debris as possible, as much sand and grit as on here, so I can get what seems like a, I don't want to say a polished black surface, but I mean, look at all that. You can tell that all that grime on there, that's all stuff that will clog up the oil filter. You don't want any kind of sediment in the cylinders, getting its way into the cylinders, because it's going to end up wearing the cylinders and end up getting blow by from that. You definitely don't want that. And there isn't really a uniform way of doing this, of saying, or a standard of saying, oh, hey, you do this or you do that. Or if there is, I don't know about it. I mostly just try to wipe it until everything starts looking clean or cleaner, so that way we can get on to the next step. And I'm almost there. Gonna give it another quick hit of the air. Watch your ears. Removing any Permatex that seems to plop up there. See all the debris shooting out of the screw holes? This thing was probably laid down at one point in some kind of dirt. I'm going to tear this part of the gasket off too, since I'm going to be putting all new Permatex on it, and for later, regular gasket. I'll just clean that little part. There we go. Okay, so let's say for the most part that looks pretty good. So now we're going to go to the next phase, which is, I'm going to back up the camera for this. We're basically just going to douse everything with PB Blaster, some kind of lube. Let's try to start penetrating through that rust and get things to where how they used to be, right? So, and I am very liberal with all of this. Yes, I should put a tray down here. So you know what? Let me grab a tray. Okay, so the next part of this is going to be to put a collection bucket down to pick up your lubricant so it doesn't get all over the driveway. And I am just going to use a liberal amount all over the inside of this case just to start lubing stuff up and to get any deeply embedded sediment hopefully to be lifted via this lubricant and deposited into this tray. That's dripping off the end of the thing, but for the most part, most of it's going where it needs to. Oh, see that? It washed the magnet back out. That wouldn't happen if the cover was on, because the cover would keep it on. So, I'm even going to use it here, even though people might be freaking out because I'm spraying it on this, but once again, it's so it was so neglected being out in, actually it wasn't even in a barn, it was beside the barn outside in the elements. So I'm actually surprised that this seat looks as good as it does. There we go. So we're basically just wanting to do something along those lines. Let it all drip out, and I can see that there was some sediment in there that it ended up pulling out, so that's good. You can see from inside this drip bucket. Because the air isn't going to get it all out, right? So now once this dries, unfortunately right now I may have the gears. I have to look in the other parts bike. I probably do to put these gears in and then to put the side cover on, but for right now on this step for this episode I'm just gonna clean the wet side and the dry side, okay? So that way it's getting ready to, and with it being lubed like this, it shouldn't flash rust either. So I'm just going to keep on letting this drip and do what it's doing. I'm going to put the magnet back in like that for right now, so we don't lose it or anything like that. And then we're going to go on to the other side and we're going to assess the the condition. Okay, so why don't you follow me over there? Okay, so for this side, we're basically going to do the exact same thing. We're going to spray it with air. Remember, if you have headphones, watch out. And then afterwards, we can even start now. We're going to peel this gasket off, or the gasket will probably come off with the air. And then after that, we will lube the inside of this, wipe it out, lube it, and then we kind of see where we're at there. Okay, so let's see how much stuff comes out of here. I'm eager because I can see some stuff in here. So let's go. I found something interesting, and I'm not sure if this is supposed to be like this or not. This might be why this bike is sitting like it is. Let me show you. Now I know this is the dry side, okay? So I know that technically no oil goes through it or anything like that. Because there's usually, well, there's technically, usually there's a wet side and a dry side. The wet side is where like your starter and everything else is, where you fill your oil and everything like that, which is on this side, and this side's usually the dry side. But let me show you something. Okay, so do you see this portion right here? See how you can see daylight through there? I don't know if that's supposed to be there. I don't know if that's cracked. Or if it's okay that it's like that. That is definitely something that I'm going to be paying attention to when I take the other case off, to see if that's okay like that. I don't feel a real rough edge, but see, this is why we assess the damage like we are, okay? If this is like this, a couple of things we can do, hopefully. One, we can try to weld the aluminum and plug that hole. Or two, we use some kind of JB Weld, epoxy, something like that. Wow, that is just so strange that it's like that. I haven't seen... I haven't opened up the wet side before, so I'm not sure. There's a really good picture of it. This thing right here, that orifice right there. See right there. See how I could see all the way through to the other side? Look at that. I don't know if that's supposed to be there or not. It could be an oil passageway, because there is an oil passageway right there, but that's just strange. So let me know in the comments, is that supposed to be there? If that's supposed to be there, great. If not, let me know that too. Let's get back to the action. Okay, so now that we saw that, I think we're pretty well aired out. We're gonna wipe it down, and then we might hit it one more time with air. Let's just wipe it out and see what kind of crunky gunky stuff we get out of here. Oh yeah, this part was exposed to the elements too. So a lot of times when you get these old bikes, this is kind of what happens, right? Is they're just neglected. You can see this is where the oil filter goes, and it might be missing components as well. So we have to make sure that when we pull them off of the donor bike, that we're getting everything, and we're making sure that we're looking at everything as we're taking it off and matching it up and putting it on the new bike. Make sure we're not missing anything, because especially some of these bikes, a lot of this stuff is layered. So for example, like here, there's a gear over a gear that meshes up to a gear that has then a snap washer, a nut, things like that. So you just want to make sure that when you're putting stuff back together, you're putting the stuff back together in the order, well, in the opposite order in which you've taken it off, right? So, but wow, yeah, this stuff is, there's sediment everywhere in here. I wouldn't be surprised if this thing sat out for a few years. I mean, look at all the mold. There's actually mold growing on here, so pretty bad shape, but we'll see what we can do, right? I like challenges, so, and I think you guys like challenges too, because if you didn't like challenges, then guess what? You wouldn't be watching this channel, because this channel is a whole challenge. So sorry once again about the ISO flipping. I need to figure out how to turn this on to just manual ISO and keep it where it is. So I apologize if you see it flashing in and out and in and out, getting lighter and darker. I thought that me being outside, it would decrease that, but not so much yet. Okay, so I'd say that I wiped it down pretty decently, and it does look a lot better in here, guys. I mean, just look at it. It looks a lot better in here than what it did. It looked pretty shabby if you were to look at those other, when I did the walk around, if you look in the previous video. Just to show you, see, 920. So it is a 920 right there. 920. Okay. So let's move the drain pan over. So let's move the drain pan over, and then we're going to go ahead and hit this side with some lubricant as well. I'm not exactly sure. Oh, you know what? Before I do that, let me blow it out one more time now that we kind of disrupted everything with this rag. I don't know if you saw that, but a lot of those holes are plugged. And this is probably the best way to get that nastiness out, is just to spray it out with air. And just to look, my little thing keeps on flopping off here. And just to look at every hole now and see, can I see through it? This one still has some sediment. Trying to get it the best that we can here. All these look good. This one looks a little bit dirty. Okay, not bad, not bad. So now we are going to take the drain bucket and put it under this side. And I'm just mainly going to hit these gears here. I'm going to hit the gears. I'm going to stay away from all of this. Okay. Now, yeah, I guess I could hit it, but for right now, let's just lube up these gears. Because we're trying to inhibit any future rust. Now that we sprayed some stuff off, we might have made some micro abrasions. And we just want to make sure that if there's any metal in here, that this one's done. So we're going to go ahead and grab the other bottle of PB. Okay, so it's definitely lubed up now. It's going to be dripping and running, and it might actually start running out the other side. I don't know yet. Okay, so we have the bottom end all lubed and cleaned out, sprayed out. So that is going to help to prevent any future rust from happening, and little by little the lubricant will carry a little bit of the sediment that I may not have been able to get with the air out, which is good. That's pretty much as far as we're going to go here, okay? If you like what you saw, please, I implore you, click that like, click that subscribe. It really, really helps. Share my videos. Comment, let me know what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong. If you have any questions or a better way that you feel that you would do this, or if I'm doing a good job, a bad job, or anything like that. Remember that I also have a merchandise store, so please feel free to buy a shirt. There will be more things that are going to be popping up in the next couple of weeks in that merchandise store, okay? Do your part to help this channel, help get these bikes back on the road, because these parts are hard to find and expensive, and luckily I have a parts bike for most of them, but I don't know if I have it for all of them. If you have any words of wisdom, let me know that. If you can share this on any forums or groups that you belong to, please do so. If you have family members or friends, if you belong to a motorcycle club or something like that, try to get them to subscribe, okay? And say, hey, there's this guy in Indiana. He acts like he doesn't know what he's doing, because most of the time I don't. But somehow he is getting these bikes closer and closer to being on the road, okay? I sure would appreciate it. Stay tuned, because we are going to have a lot more episodes with the Black Knight. So as always, make sure that you keep both wheels on the ground. Thanks.